Okay, 2 drinks with Bill Maher. Let's do it.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay.
Good. Okay, so I want to start by asking you about your show, because there's this word safe space that's been thrown around a lot the last 5 years, and mostly that word has meant excluding people who think differently than you. But you have a show where everyone from DNC chairs to Marjorie Taylor Greene come on. How did you build that?
It grew out of, real time grew out of politically incorrect. You can tell by the name of that. It was on my mind in the 90s when that show started. So politically incorrect always meant no bullshit. And everybody likes to say that when they start a show, the no spin zone, they're all lying. I've always been pretty much the only one politically who does that. I think there's now more people doing it. That's good. It's always good when you have people who are not afraid to face the music if some of their fans don't like what they say. But Politically Incorrect started as a show that was universally thought to be a loser because talk show hosts never said their opinions. Leno didn't, Carson didn't, Letterman didn't. That just wasn't what they did, because they said, well, you would alienate half the audience. And you would, maybe. But I thought, well, let's give it a shot. And of course, the truth is that people can hear something that they don't agree with and still like you. So that idea that people can hear something and still like you, still be friends, I don't think we've ever had a guest on the show, hardly, that ever left unhappy, liberal, conservative. Everybody comes to the green room after and has a drink. Everybody seems to be in a good mood. I'm never mad at anybody if we argued about something. So, it's just always the only way I ever wanted to do it. I don't want to hate half the country. I don't hate half the country, no matter what side they're on. I always just wanted to talk to people and be real and laugh. And so it's not that hard, but man, in these partisan times, you'd think it was really hard for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I think one thing you've done is kind of challenge this really egregious idea, I think, that you can't platform someone that you disagree with. Last week, sitting here was Ana Kasparian, and you guys had a really...
that got around.
Yeah, and her co-host, Cenk, he's also on the Young Turks, tweeted, I think Bill Maher is the biggest racist in American media. I'm happy to challenge him to a debate on the issue of his favorite country in the world, his beloved Israel. How do you respond to that? I'm assuming you didn't even see this
why
tweet.
doesn't he answer the question that she won't answer? Or that she didn't until finally she had to give in and say, yes, I would live in Tel Aviv.
Would you challenge, would you
Yes,
debate
well,
him?
I'd love to hear his answer. Because there is no answer. Anybody who thinks they're a social justice activist, which these people do, and your number one issue isn't gender apartheid in the Muslim world, you're a joke. You're a joke. It's so obvious where the biggest amount of oppression is. You people who hate oppression so much. I saw the New York Post reprinted the whole thing, and they showed, of course they have pictures. I don't have pictures here, but they show pictures of women in the full covered, the burqa of head to. I saw the front page of the New York Times yesterday was something about Syria. Maybe it was their 1-year anniversary or something. And this is Syria, which I, kind of think, well, it's not Afghanistan, it's not Saudi Arabia. Well, it's Syria. It was the leader of the Muslim world at some point. And but there's the women, and they were in the full, I'm not even the eye slit. Just
they can't see.
The full black fumigation tent. If you're okay with keeping women in beekeeper suits, including in 100-degree weather, and this is just something that just, okay, well, whatever. And I'm the racist. First of all, Islam is not a race, morons. It's an idea. It's an ideology. People of all races follow it. it's just more fundamentalist than other religions in this century. That would not have been the case in the 14th century. But we don't live then, we live now. And the fact that you won't call this out, like the fact that these Muslims in America, the way you live here, you couldn't live that way in most of these countries where your ancestors are from. And certainly your wife couldn't. The fact that this isn't your biggest issue as people who hate oppression, you're a joke. So, you know, you want to debate? Sure. I mean, I debated her. I'm bored. As I said at the end of that, I said, I'm bored.
Yeah.
At some point, we've been around this mulberry bush, and I'm kind of bored, and you have your story, and you're sticking to it. And I thought she did not look, you know, everything else we talked about, she was so reasonable.
Yeah, I know.
She sort of came over to where I think is the center left, where I think I am. And on this one, she just, first of all, she just wanted the fight.
Of course.
I feel like it's a credential thing for that generation. It's like they have to be these useful idiots who somehow, again, as the world's big liberals, found their way to this position of marching with the most oppressive people in the world. I mean, it's hard to wrap your head around.
I want to ask you about another character, which is Tucker Carlson. What happened to Tucker?
I feel like a lot of people ask that question. I'm the last one who would know what's in his mind. I don't think I've seen him in person since Politically Incorrect. Oh, maybe he did one of the early years of Real Time, but I'm sure I haven't seen him in, 20 years or something. He seems very elusive, and does he live in an undisclosed location or something? I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. I mean, he obviously says crazy things. Why does a person say crazy things who wears bow ties, or used to? I don't know. Maybe, is it the bow tie? I don't know what's causing it. But it doesn't really matter because, he's a little dangerous in the fact that he has a following and, to your mentioning of platforming, it's one thing to have Nick Fuentes on, although I, at this point, wouldn't myself. But then you gotta at least quote the guy back about his, Nazi, leanings and forgiveness and even cheerleading for, Trump is not Hitler. That little prick is Hitler.
Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
I agree. But someone like Tucker, how did he go from a pretty normal Republican to, spewing complete conspiracy theories? I would argue he is more than a little bit dangerous.
I assume hits. I assume clicks. I assume, there's a guaranteed audience for that. Candace Owens, I mean.
Do you think they actually believe what they're saying, or it's just good business?
I think Candace, I think she kind of does, which is a little, I don't know which is worse. If you really believe it, or if you're, but my guess is she really believes it and he really doesn't. I mean, did Alex Jones, there's obviously a number of these people who are just dare their audience to find someone who is more out there. Go ahead. I am not going to come in second in a crazy contest.
How do you measure the line for you of who you have on and not? You said you wouldn't have Fuentes on. Would you have Tucker on?
Tucker, yes. I'd love to have him on. Our emissaries, our papal viscounts have talked, and there was moments where it seemed like he was either going to do this or something, but they were very squirrely, and I think it was always bullshit. I mean, I think he's afraid. I mean, if I was him, I'd be afraid to talk to me too.
Of course.
Not that I'd be mean. I'm not mean to anybody. I mean, there's not a single person who sat here, including Ana Kasparian, who doesn't wind up laughing like most of the show. We're always laughing. We were laughing a lot. That one got very heated for 15 minutes, but she demanded that But no, I mean, Tucker would have a great time like everybody does at Club Random. There's nothing you can do that's more fun than getting high with me.
I believe that.
It really is true. Even Gus Van Sant had a great time.
I was watching in the green room.
And you could tell that is a hard nut to crack. But I just saw him laugh so many times. I was like, oh, I'm so glad I gave this guy, some laughs. Because he seems like a very serious dude.
You're a young boomer, and you've kind of seen this arc of the American political scene play out. I'm 24, I haven't. And I wonder how you think about how we even arrived at this juncture and what I guess young people don't understand about how we got here.
What juncture? What are we talking about?
A world where conspiracy theories thrive online, where Trump is president, where the world is so politically divided. Like, are we freaking out over nothing, or is this really a moment in time that people should be concerned about?
Some of both. There's Donald Trump's 56 insults that he said about me that he signed. I earned every one of those, so I think I have a lot of credentials as understanding the situation we're in unprecedented-wise with him as president. On the other hand, I just really have no use for people whose whole personality is Donald Trump and how much they hate Trump, and like that's the first thing out of that. It's like, oh, shut the fuck up. You know what? Well, first of all, it's all people whose life he hasn't really affected at all.
Yeah.
He has affected a lot of lives, some of them very badly. And he's, has some ideas that were not wrong. I rarely back the method he chooses to carry them out. But identifying certain problems that were festering, yeah, he's done some of that, and I would always give him credit for anything. I said before the last election, I'm not going to pre-hate anything.
Yeah.
And I don't pre-hate anything. Now that he's been in office a year, I hate a lot of things.
What do you think is the best thing he's done and the worst thing he's done?
Best thing he's done was the Middle East deal.
Yeah.
Bombing Iran, backing Israel, and not pretending like, oh, well, everybody in the Middle East, they have equal arguments. No, again, not to bring everything back to Ana Kasparian's dress, but like,
really wasn't my intention. Yeah.
But where would you be comfortable wearing that dress? Whose civilization looks like yours? And do you really believe that all civilizations are the same morally? And the way Hamas fights the war. It's just, I read yesterday, I don't know if it's true because I have to read something in at least 2 sources before I believe it's true, because I don't believe anybody fully. But I did read that Hamas had a lot of food that they were hiding just so that they could
baby formula.
Baby formula.
That is true.
It is true.
Yes.
That they were hiding because, again, their method of fighting a war is, we like being martyrs, and it gets us sympathy around the world. That's what we're looking for. We're looking to win the propaganda war, and we'll use our own people because it's a win-win. They get to be martyrs, and we get world opinion on our side. What could be a more win-win than that? So if that's where you want to go with your sympathies, okay, well, let's just call that a difference of opinion.
Yeah. To my mind, if you're not politically homeless, there's something a little bit wrong because both sides have something so deeply repugnant about them. Do you agree with that statement?
I would totally agree with that.
Do you have more concern about the extreme left or the extreme right now?
Oh, the right. Absolutely. They are undemocratic. I don't know that they're at all committed to giving up power. My basic overview, I say it frequently, is that the right thinks the left has gone so insane, and I could tell you why they're not completely wrong about that.
Yeah, I
could list 12 things easily that are so anti-common sense, so counterintuitive. It seems like they just want to embrace the counterintuitive that makes the right wing say, even if we have to forego democracy, these people cannot take power. That's a very scary place to be when they're like, democracy? No, not the most important thing. So that's why I'm still more afraid of the right more. And of course they just, everybody goes to their furthest side of the pendulum. The liberals come in and the whole thing is just way too pussified. And then you go right to macho and let's blow up boats and let's arrest people at Home Depot and just all this macho bullshit. And the average person, I think, is just saying, I don't want either. Do we have to pussify everything or over macho anything? Can't we just get some normal place in the middle? And both parties keep disappointing those people, my people, your people.
Do you see any
people who need people?
Do you see people that you have hope for that could do that and garner momentum in a real way?
I went to a luncheon last week with Wes Moore. I'd never met him. He's very impressive. I came away very, very impressed with that. There's some news for you while I'm off. Bill Maher endorses. No, I'm not picking a candidate yet, but I didn't know that much about him. I certainly knew that his name was on a lot of people's lips because as far as like who's going to run. Now he said he has zero interest in running next time. Well, of course they all say that.
Yeah.
And that could or could not be true. But he has immense political talent, and he seemed, and I said just right to him, I said, the Democratic Party, everybody talked around the table for a bit, and I was like, let's get to the elephant in the room, which is race, the original sin, the one we're always still, trying to deal with in some way. And the Democratic Party has just always been, not always, but in recent cycles, has been just, I think, way too, in policy and also in politics, just beholden to identity politics.
Yeah.
And, I said, Biden gets the nod, so he has to pick a black woman. And then she becomes the nominee, so she has to pick a lame white guy.
Right.
So they're always going through this cycle of having to, balance their last bullshit box checking out. But Wes, he wears the magic armor, which is great. Just like Obama. You're dealing with a party that has a lot of white people. I told them that we feel very guilty about things we actually didn't do ourselves. But that's their thing. And it's not like we obviously shouldn't own the past and feel bad about it and in many ways do what we can to repair it where it needs to be repaired. But there is a weird sort of white self-loathing in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Okay. So as a black candidate for the Democrats, he could be a centrist in a way Obama could, that a white guy can't. He's already sort of pass a certain test with the super woke white people who are way more liberal, by the way, than most black folks in this country.
Yeah, of course.
They have polling on this.
Hollywood, famously, you say things that I'm sure most of your colleagues don't say out loud.
No.
Has anything you've said costed you invites, friends, anything of that nature?
Fuck yeah.
People you care about?
I mean, Larry David certainly is not really my friend anymore. And
Did you speak to him after he wrote that letter?
No, I said my piece on my last show.
And he didn't reach out or anything?
No, but I put him in my last editorial right before Thanksgiving, our last show.
Were you surprised by what he wrote?
Yeah. But, it was a great clapback. You should watch it. And Jimmy Kimmel got mad at me too, but all I did was quote. His wife said something publicly. I tried my best to only stick to what she was saying and not take any cheap shots or pot shots. But so, that's just right off the top of my head. But and then audience, I have lost woke and I don't miss them because you know what? The show's better. We used to have too woke of studio audience, and I was always fighting with my own crowd, in my own studio. Oh come on, the number of times I had to say, oh Jesus Christ, don't and now no groaners for the last 5-6 years.
Are there people, Hollywood people, tech people, that text you after a show or say something to you privately that would surprise normal people like me who think they think one way but maybe think differently than they say they do?
Probably, but I'm not going to say who they are. But like, I'm not on social media really. So like, my likes are like actual likes. Like people I actually know texting me. Those are the only likes I get.
Yeah. What are the issues you find that they're saying to you privately, I kind of agree with you, but wouldn't say so, maybe to just you?
I think anything, anyone of probably over 40 who grew up at a sort of a different time. I mean, that certainly would be Gen X. Also, the last sane generation, maybe. They have an instinctive sort of sense that the excesses that we went to, gender-wise, racially, defund the police, homelessness is just a lifestyle. Anything that, again, I said it before, seems just counterintuitive. It's like they're liberal people. Like, of course, trans is a real thing, but like, we're really not going to put the sex of the baby on the birth certificate because it's always a jump ball, and in a few years they could change their mind, and why not listen to a 5-year-old? They know what they are. Just that everything just went so far in certain directions. Like penises, absolutely in the women's locker room. Those kind of things that just seem, again, anti-common sense. And I could tell they're struggling with it, a lot of them, because they don't want to like go against their team, and they don't want to feel like, oh, am I helping the Republicans? I think, just tell the truth. Just be true. Let the chips fall where they may. I mean, that's where I am.
Yeah.
But I get the other point of view too, that it is sort of a zero-sum game, politics. But I don't think I'm hurting the Democrats when I criticize them. I think I'm helping them.
Is there anyone on your show or is there anyone you wanted to have on your show that won't come on?
Of course.
Who's your top pick?
I mean, I've tried to shame Mondami.
Yep.
I've tried to shame AOC.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to shame Bill and Hillary Clinton into doing it. These are like people who, again, I voted for you, Hillary. I voted for you,
And
Bill.
they won't go on?
Well, I haven't seen them, and I'm there every week. No, but I mean, we invited, and then, recently, I mentioned it at least 3 times last year, just because I thought, oh, fuck them. I'm just going to try to shame them publicly. No, not shamed at all. But I'm going to do it again. I'm glad you reminded me. I'm going to say it I'll say it every week next year. That if you, especially during a Democratic campaign, if you can't come on with me, someone who votes Democratic, if you can't, then how could you be, really? Because the Republicans, they all come. They're never afraid of anything, and they can take a punch. Laura Trump was here. Democrats don't do that. I was talking to a bunch of people at dinner the other night, and these are not conservative people, and they were saying, if I had to be in a room or something with people, and the Democrats, not fun. It's just not a fun crowd. And the Republicans are. That's it.
Are you bullish or bearish on America?
America, I love America. It's Americans I can't stand. But I do love America. Bullish, there's certainly a lot of water this ship is taking on. The education system just completely collapsed, I don't know how many years ago, but we're turning out, people your age.
They're idiots.
Thank you. They are just idiots. Not only,
that's a generous word.
Not only can't they read or do math, even if they could read, they don't. They don't know anything. They don't know things. They don't know history. They don't know facts. They just don't know things. And so that doesn't augur well. And then there's AI.
Okay, AI will be net good or net bad for us?
Well, that's everybody's $64 million question. Some of it will be good. I mean, if it keeps me alive forever and turns back my clock physically, great. I'm 70. That would be fucking awesome. But it'll probably be robots who take over and kill us all. I don't I don't know, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not worried about anything. That's always my advice to young people. It's like, yeah, I know there's a lot of stuff to be anxious about, but from my vantage point of having lived through these years, what I would say to you, to ease your mind, is like, whatever you think it's going to be, I guarantee you one thing, it's not going to be that. So don't worry about it. It could be better.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.